for those that love to do so. All right. So the topic of today is trust your fantasy. I just love to say that. Trust your fantasy. Now, I have to tell you, I am someone who has a really great, massive fantasy already since I was a kid. And as a kid, I used it a lot. I used fantasy to feel good, basically. So whatever was happening, even if things were okay, I used my fantasy to make it even better. I was living in fantasy worlds. I was actually living in the real world and in the fantasy world at the same time. And in this fantasy world, I would be whatever I wanted to be. I always wanted to have a horse as a kid, which I didn't have. So in my fantasy, there was always a horse with me, just, a small example. And I know you can relate to this because every kid fantasizes. Every kid has imagination. And mind me, when I'm saying fantasy or imagination, I'm not only referring to having images or seeing images, because this is an idea that we very often have about fantasy, that we close our eyes and we have these images, and a lot of us do, but not everyone fantasizes like that. Fantasy comes as you know how you fantasize. Some people fantasize not in images, but in words, in feelings, in sounds, in knowing, in seeing letters. There are all kind of ways to fantasize. So when I say fantasy or imagination or visualization, the same goes for when you visualize, which we're going to do in a bit. You always do it as you know that you fantasize. You are here already for quite some time on this beautiful planet Earth, and you know how you fantasize. So this is about how you fantasize. And I might speak in the words of imagery, and that's because I fantasize mainly with images, although also with just feeling and knowing. But images are really guiding me in that. All right, so that's it. First of all, I looked up the definition of fantasy before I prepared for today's live. And then I noticed there, like with every word, there are a little bit different definitions. But a very common definition was that fantasy was like having images, and those images were about things that didn't exist or were even unrealistic, never going to happen, like that. And that was shocking me. That would be the definition, because I so disagree with the definition. So I will tell you what I see that is fantasy. I see fantasy as a mental process to see, feel, hear, know about things, people, situations that are not currently here right now. So you use your fantasy to have a memory. That's not something that never is going to happen, that is not realistic, but you use that imagery, that fantasy to remember something. You are using your fantasy when you're looking forward to something and you are trying to imagine, to feel out how it is going to be. So it's a mental process to create a world, an inner world, in your own way, like seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing, whatever your way is. An inner world that is not right now here, but it could be here. Yeah, of course, when you fantasize about unicorns, yeah, there might never be an actual unicorn here because we call that a fantasy figure. But in a sense, it exists, and it could also represent something else in your life that is real, because that is where I want to go with this. So, but first, I want to take away the sometimes a bit negative or bad connotation that sometimes we have in our society about fantasy. Oh, that person is such a dreamer. Oh, that's fantasy. It will never happen. Generally, our society sees fantasy as something that is not helpful, or it might be fun, but it's not realistic. It will not make you an earning. Although I think that a lot of artists and movie makers and basically everyone who has ever thought of something and created something will disagree that this is a way to make a living. This is a way to bring your fantasy to the real world. And I think that is really, really important to know. I want to go even further. You might have heard and seen this really famous quote by Albert Einstein, who said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And that comes from a theoretical physicist for whom knowledge and understanding was something so big, but he emphasized imagination and how important that was. So imagination, that is also fantasy. I'm just using those words interchangeably. And why? Well, I can prove that because everything mankind has invented, so everything that didn't right exists already in nature, but everything that is, and that's a lot, right? Because we as humankind have invented and created so many things, starting from the wheel up to, I don't know where technology is now. It's beyond imagination what kind of things are invented already. And everything started with someone using their fantasy, because something wasn't there yet. Someone thought of it, someone imagined it, someone had an idea, a feeling, a word, an understanding, and knowing, and started to work to create it. And very often that was a co-creation with many others. It was long processes. I mean, everywhere where we are now, when you take a look at technology, it's a build-up from the last 120 years, more or less, to see where we are now. But basically, it's a build-up from humankind, from the very start until now. So fantasy is massively important to every one of us. So let no one ever tell you that it's not good to be a dreamer. Let no one ever tell you that it's not good to use your fantasy, because fantasy, that is the basis of expanding. That is the basis of our expansion. It's the basis of solutions. It's the basis of everything that is good. And of course, you can also do bad stuff with fantasy. You can also have really bad fantasies that can scare yourself, of course. But that's a personal choice. So, for today, I want to take a look at fantasy from the bright side. I want to take a look at fantasy and say, when you fantasize, you are connecting with your authentic self, with your soul, with your intuition, with your guts, with whatever word you want to use. If you want to make it more spiritual, you can say, I want to connect with the universe or with source or with God. And I use my fantasy to have that connection and understand where I am in my life and what I can do. If you want to make it more psychological, you can say my authentic self, my real self, my soul, which is on the brink of spiritualism and, psychology. And this is the way I can communicate with that. Or you can just make it really as tangible as possible and say, well, I sometimes just know things and I never know if this is my fantasy or not, but I'm going to trust this almost intangible knowing, but I'm going to trust on that and I'm going to follow that fantasy. And if you find it hard or difficult, then just think again of what Einstein said. Because also for him, it was his imagination, the way he could bring things together, bring his understanding of things that many of us, especially at those days, couldn't understand, and how this imagination could bring him to work with that, to get through that, and then actually to create those important formulas that gave the understanding to others. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Use your fantasy. So, where I'm coming from as a meditation teacher here, you know that I often use the process of visualization, guided meditations through visualization. And again, visualization, I mean using your fantasy in the way that you like it. I know in the word is visualization, the idea that you have to see things, but it just doesn't have to see. It can be, all kind of other ways to fantasize. And the way I use it is that first we calm our mind, our body, so that we can make that connection with our inner self, with our inner being, our soul, our intuition, our guts. And then let that inner core communicate with us, speak with us. And that's not a process that is cognitive, because if you start to have a cognitive uh, thought exchange with yourself and you remain in your head, there are a lot of layers that you have to go through, because even though we like to think that we're really rational beings who can think with clarity and understand things, and especially ourselves and what is going on, our minds are really trained to help us think according to our biases, according to our expectations, according to our beliefs. And I don't mean just beliefs like faith, but I mean beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about our world. So we cannot always trust with what our brain comes up. And that's mainly because how our brain is shaped. Our brain is capable of receiving 11 million bits of information per second, but we are only able to catch about 40 of those consciously. So our brain decides for us what 40 of those 11 million bits will become conscious to us, and it relies on the things that we are interested in. So if we have a lot of worries or fears, it will feed us more things to worry and fear about. So meditation is a great way to train our brain to let go of thoughts and to pick thoughts that are feeling better, that are better for us. But connecting with that inner core, so it's not a thinking thing. It's a thing that is really hard to describe, but the visualization is a really good way to bring that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to guide you in a visualization where we're going on a little quest within ourselves, and we're going to find out some things that I hope will help you to start trusting your fantasy as an important guide in your life. So before we start, there is one important rule. Because as I said, your fantasy can go both ways. It can go towards things that feel really, really good, but it can also go towards things that are feeling scary, making you be afraid, and all kind of things. So if you ever feel that your fantasy is giving you fear, is making you sad, is hurting you emotionally, then just stop the fantasy. Because then it's not your inner core, because your inner core is never making you afraid. Your inner core is never telling you that you're doing things wrong. Your inner core is only telling you that you are lovable and worthy and that you should go towards well-being. So whenever your fantasy is feeding you things that you're not feeling good, then it's just your head. That's your head understanding that you might want to see some things that are scaring you or making you afraid or making you worry, and it's feeding you that. And you can go on that road. You can go onto that fantasy, and you might know, everyone has been there where you have an idea, it's your fantasy, it's not here, and we continue on it, just being in the dark outside. That sometimes triggers for a lot of people fears, and then their fantasy comes, and then we see bears and vampires and the scariest things around us while we know they are not there, and we scare us. So that's not the way I want your fantasy to take, unless that thrills you and you love it, right? There are people who love horror, so I'm not one of those because my fantasy always takes me too far there. But if you love it, then by all means. But no, I want to aim for that connection with your soul, your inner being, and use that as a good basis to work from. Yeah. So before we start, I just take a quick look. I see there's a lot to see if there's any questions that I feel I need to answer now, or we'll come back later to it. So I see there's a discussion about Count Dracula. That's really nice that you were mentioning that, because when I was 12, I read Dracula, the book by Bram Stoker, and I so loved it. I so loved it that I even made like red dots in my neck, like I was bitten by a vampire. I'm so happy it didn't happen for real. Yeah, so really nice. Randy says, rockets to the moon, cameras on Mars, throughout the solar system, and more. That's truly amazing. A long ways away from the wheel. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Mel says, I envision my future self coming back to help me. And it's a great comfort and help. That's such a beautiful thing. That's really, really great. Cherry agrees with my explanation about fantasy. That's really great. Yes. Lovely. All right. So let's start. I'll read it back later on. Make sure you're sitting comfortable, and you can also lie down. You know me, most important is that you are feeling comfortable. Sitting with ease, you can land against the back of the chair, you can land against the sofa or the wall when you're sitting on the floor, or you can lie down. If you lie down, you might fall asleep, but then that just means that you needed some sleep, so that's also great. Then you take a nap. So let's first take a moment to tune into our body. Feel what's going on there. Let's start with our feet. Feet on the ground. Notice how your feet are on the ground. Where your feet touch the ground. Connect with it. It's always good to be aware for a moment that the earth is there to support you. The ground, part of earth, part of Mother Earth. Mother Earth. That triggers a lot of good fantasies to me. Supporting me. And now your buttocks, sitting on the seat, lying on the mattress, the ground, yoga mat. Notice for a moment where your shoulders are. Are those relaxed? Just hanging? Is there any tension in your shoulders? If yes, then just drop them. You can even help it by pulling them up and just drop them. There's such a sense of relaxation in dropping your shoulders for a moment. Just try with me for a moment. Pull them up and drop. Yeah, that's good, right? Is there any tension in your face? Your forehead? Are your jaws unclenched? Soft lips? Now gently close your eyes. And just sit with me for a moment. Feeling again your feet, your buttocks, your shoulders, your face. Let's just observe the breath for a moment. And the easiest place to observe your breath is at your nostrils, where the air is flowing in and flowing out. Flowing in and flowing out. So all your attention on your nostrils. You don't have to change your breath. Let it be natural. Let it be normal. Flowing in. And when it flows out, you feel it's a little bit warmer. And if your breathing is short, that's okay. It can be short. And when it's really long, that's also okay. But let it be long. Just let it be a natural breath. and you have all your attention on your nostrils. And if you notice that you are distracted, that your mind is wandering, that's okay. That's your mind's job. The moment you notice, you gently bring your attention back to your nostrils. Breath flowing in, breath flowing out. In and out. All your attention to your breath. All right, now we've created some relaxation of our body and mind. Let's get to our visualization. Keep your eyes still closed. And I would love for you to use your fantasy in the way you always fantasy. And I would love for you to imagine now that there is a staircase right in front of you. A staircase that leads upwards. It's a beautiful staircase. It's really, really shiny. It's from glass and there is some sparkles in it, and just use your fantasy to make it your favorite staircase. And we're going to climb this staircase. So I'm going to count every step that we take, and with every step that you take, you feel that you become a little bit more light, a little bit more cheerful, a little bit more anticipating, wondering what is up there. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, and you can imagine that you are looking up and that you see a light, a beautiful golden light shining there, and it makes you really curious to know what is up there. So 4, 5, 6, and you feel that you're becoming more lighthearted, more happy, looking forward, more eager to see what is up there. 7, 8, you notice that you have to smile sometimes. So it is as if you are getting wings. It is as if you are lifting up, that your weight is not pulling you down anymore. It's almost as if you could float on this staircase. 9 and 10. And now you are on the top of the stairs. And when you walk a little bit to the front, you notice that you are in a beautiful garden. And this beautiful garden is really high up in the sky. There are some lovely clouds floating around, but you also feel the golden sunlight. And take a look. Maybe there are more suns here. Maybe there are moons. Maybe there are stars and the sun. Or maybe you're someone who prefers to have it a little bit cloudy or a little bit foggy or a little bit rainy even. Make the environment in a way that pleases you. Make sure that the atmosphere is just right. It's not too cold, it's not too hot. It is exactly as you like it. This is your fantasy and you are the boss. But don't overthink it. When something pops up and it feels good, you use it. When something pops up and you don't like it, then just throw it in the bin. You have a fantasy bin. It's just there. It's always with you, and you can throw everything from your fantasy in the bin if you don't like it. But if you like it, then pay some attention to how it looks. So how does this garden look for you? Do you see your favorite flowers with the favorite colors? And any color is possible, even those colors that don't exist in real life. Those are possible here, and if you like them, use them. Are there trees? Are there animals? Are there other people? Let's walk a little bit further into this garden, and you notice that you are really on top of the world, and that if you want to, you can take a look down at your life, at the life of others, and you can see it from a really big distance. But if you like, you could zoom in and get to know things that you would like to know. But not for now. Let's just take a look at who you are and what you can learn about yourself and your fantasy right now. So when you continue to walk, you see that there is a big open space. It's grassy, there are some flowers, and you see that a person is standing there. And when you approach, you see that this person standing there is smiling at you, really friendly, really warmly. They open their arms to welcome you. And when you come closer, you start to see how they look. Now, don't overthink how they look. You just now get an image of who this person is. Maybe it's someone that you know in your life. Maybe it's someone that you have known. Or maybe it's someone that you don't know. Maybe it's a fantasy figure from your past as a child. Maybe it's, the lover of your dreams. It doesn't matter who it is. Just pay attention on how they look. So you see the shape of their body, the way they dress, and now you see their face. And don't overthink it. Just whatever pops up, that's okay. The only reason to throw it in the bin is when it doesn't feel good, when this is a person that you don't want to fantasize about. Then you just put them in the bin and then ask for a new one. And this is possible because this is your fantasy. This is your fantasy. You are the boss. You are like a director of a movie. All right? So this person is really excited, really happy to see you, and they welcome you. So go to them and let them welcome you. And let them welcome you in a way that feels good to you. So if you want to hug them, give them a hug. If you just want to say hi, say hi. If you want to shake their hand, if you just want to smile, if you want to say something, greet them in a way that feels good to you. They invite you now to walk with them. And when you walk with them through this beautiful garden, you might want to take a look at the pathway you're walking on. Are there stones? Is it grass? Maybe it's shells. And you walk with them. And you see that they guide you to this beautiful place. There is a bench at the water. And the water, you can shape it like you want. It can be a brook, it can be a river, it can be the ocean, it can be a sea, it can be a lake, it can be a waterfall, or it can be just a small pond, or maybe even just a puddle of water. It doesn't matter. Whatever water you want to be here, you're going to sit on this bench with this person next to you, looking at the water. And I really would love for you to just acknowledge how safe it feels to be with this person. How wonderful it feels to be with this person. And you might want to take a look at the way they look at you, because there's only love. There's so much love in their eyes when they look at you. And it feels so good to see them look at you like that. Oh, it really feels like your heart is filled with so much love from this person. So really take a moment to acknowledge that, how that feels. Where do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it on your skin? Do you feel it in your throat? Do you feel it in your belly? Do you feel it all around you? Wherever you feel it, even if it's just one little spot on your right toe, that's also great. It doesn't matter how and where you feel it. There is no right or wrong. You just feel it somewhere. Now, I want to tell you that this person is someone who is always with you. This person is here for you, so you can ask questions if you want an answer. This is a person who knows every detail of you and feels only love. This is the person within you that holds that space for you, knowing that you are worthy, you are lovable, you are unique, you are special, you are you because you are meant to be you, just like you are right now. There's nothing wrong with you, never. Even when you criticize yourself for doing something wrong, this person within you holds that space of knowing that you are wrong to criticize yourself. This person within you holds the space to know for you that you are love. You're worthy. You're worthy of the best. Always. Every split second of every day of the total of your life. That's a massive feeling, right? To acknowledge that this person lives within you, holding that space for you. And if right now this is making you emotional, that's okay. That's okay. Because sometimes we just forget that this is possible. Sometimes we just forget that this belongs to us, but that's okay. If you feel emotional, then feel again how this person helps you. Maybe they hold your hand. Maybe they hug you. And you know what? You can hug yourself just as well. Your body responds to any hug, even the hugs from yourself. It doesn't distinguish between the hug of someone else and a hug from yourself. It just responds with these loving, soothing hormones that are produced when you feel the caress and the hug from someone or from yourself. You might even want to rock yourself a little bit if that makes you feel better. That's okay, yeah. But maybe you're not so emotional. Maybe you feel exhilaration. Maybe you feel happiness. Maybe you feel that love. And that's so thrilling. That's so exciting. That's so life-enforcing, life-giving. Enjoy that moment. There's a lot of power in the knowledge that this part of you is always there for you. All right, now, is there a question that you would like to ask this person? It can be any question, but if you have a really big life question, then maybe keep that for another time when you're a little bit more practiced in making this connection. But maybe that one thing that you're thinking of a lot, that you're wondering if you want to change something in your life, or maybe you just want some validation of something that you're doing, or about a relationship you have, or maybe how you can tackle something that's going on in your life. Or maybe simple the question, what can I do to take better care of myself? Whatever the question is, I give you now the time to ask this question. You can say it out loud, you can think it, or you can just know it. Go ahead. And this person nods and smiles and understands you. And now they make a gesture so you know that you can relax now. you can let go of your question. This question, whatever it was, just popped up. You gave the question to this person within you that is holding this space for you. And this person is going to give you the answer, but this person wants you first to be able to receive the answer. So let's go for a walk with them. Because what this person teaches us is that when we stick with the question, when we stick with the problem, we cannot always see the solution. So let's relax a little bit and wait till the answer will come from this person by itself. So let's walk a little bit further next to the water, whatever the water is that you created. And when it was a little water, then you might see that it starts to grow a little bit bigger, because we're going to let the water work for us. The beauty of water is that it is fluid, that it moves, that it can open and close, that it is flexible enough to move with you, that it can adapt, that it can show you its depth and also close and just let you see the surface. So if you take a look at the water, you see that little baskets are floating by, and the baskets could be from wicker, or the baskets could be from grass, or maybe they're from wood, or maybe plastic. It doesn't matter so much. They're just little baskets floating by. And now this person, let's call this person your guide, this loving guide, this person that will always guide you to the knowing that you are lovable, that you are worthy, now invites you to pick something from your life that has been bugging you, has been hurting you. Maybe it's the thing that is standing in your way of receiving the answer to the question you just posed. And to pull this out of you. So maybe it is that you know that you have such a belief within you that you first have to work hard to deserve anything. Ooh, that's a common one, right? A lot of us have that one. Or maybe it's the belief that it's really hard to love you. Or maybe it's the belief that things are always going wrong for you before they go better. Or maybe it's the belief that you have to be there for others always, even at your own expense, to be worthy. Whatever that belief is, don't overthink it again. Just, it just bubbles up. That's the one to work with. And it's now lying in your hand. That sounds weird maybe, but really let your fantasy produce something lying in your hand. And if you don't see immediately a picture or a frame or something that represents this belief, this thing, then just see a rock. It's okay. It can just be a rock. Just a brown, uninteresting rock. And we're going to put the rock in one of the baskets that is just floating by. And really keep the rock for a moment. I really want you to know that when you drop the rock, you drop the belief or part of the belief, and it's going to feel like a relief. The basket is waiting for you. Just drop it. And the moment the rock or whatever you saw is in the basket starts to float away. And that feels like a relief. It might be there is still something going on within you, but that's okay. This is a first start. Let's do it again. Maybe a different belief, maybe still a part of the same one. See it like a token in your hand, and if you don't know if you don't see anything, it's a rock. An uninteresting rock. Maybe it's white now. Yes. All right, let's just drop it in the basket. And see how the basket floats away. I had to laugh because it felt like such a good feeling to drop this in the basket and see it float away. And the nice thing is when you look at it floating away, that it really helps to slowly let go of it, to see it float away, to acknowledge that this is something that doesn't belong to you anymore. Because this knowing, this person within you that knows that you are worthy unconditionally, always, every moment, that creates some friction with these beliefs. And I would love for you to let go of these beliefs and keep that knowing within you that you are worthy and lovable. Let's do it again. Let's pull out again something. It might be the same, it might be something else. It doesn't matter. You might also gather a lot of rocks, that you have a handful of rocks, and just put them then in that big basket there. Oh, that feels so good to see it float away. Can you feel the space in your chest? That's so good. Oh, that's a relief. One more time. And it's going to be the last time for today, but you can always come back here and do some more. Let's take a look at that one rock, that one part that you still have to pull out. And maybe you don't even know what it exactly is, but you just feel that this has been the stone on your stomach. This has been the stone on your heart. You just pull it out. And you gently put it in the basket and see it float off. And realize the relief, the release, the breath, the opening in your heart, the opening in your chest, the opening in your belly. Gentleness creeping in, softness finding its place within you. The hard rocks are gone. And there is room now to breathe and feel. And again, if you feel emotionally, that's okay. Hug yourself. Caress yourself. Know, feel the knowing of this person within you that you are love. You are lovable. All right, let's continue to walk next to the water and feel the sun or the moon on your skin. Maybe there's a little bit of wind. Maybe you like some rain. Whatever it is, feel this atmosphere and feel how relaxed you are. Feel how good it feels. How pleasant, how more light-hearted you are also. Now you arrive and you notice that you're standing at the top of a mountain together with this person next to you. This person that holds that space for you. And it invites you to hold their hand. And when you're holding hand, you notice that from your feet, roots are growing into the ground. They're shooting into the ground deeply and widely, like the massive trees in the woods. You get rooted. And it gives such a sense of stability, such a sense of strength to feel how you are connected to the earth. How the power of the earth feeds your roots, feeds you. You could even see it almost as energy shooting up through those roots into your feet, your legs, your belly, your chest, your arms, your neck, your head, and especially into your heart. And I would love for you to hear the words of that person next to you, because they're going to tell you something that they know deeply, something that they hold on to every moment, and I just want you to know it and to feel it. And this is it. My loved one, you are so special. You are so lovable. And you are so strong. You're not strong in the sense of having a brick wall around you. No, you are strong in your vulnerability. You are strong because you are rooted into the earth. You know your value. You're standing here at this place where you can have an overview of life, overview of your life, overview of life itself. You are standing here with me, and I am knowing for you that you are the king. You are the queen of your world. You are the king and the queen of your fantasy. You are the king and the queen of your emotions. You are the king or the queen of your mind, of your soul, of your knowing that you are lovable. You are love. And that last one is so important because you are love. You cannot differently than just love. And with those heavy stuff lifted of your heart, at least for now, you know how to get there. You know how to let go of these things time and again. You just know that you are love and you will spread this love. Because the more you love yourself, the more you will spread this love to others. You will be a lighting example for others who will be curious how you can love yourself and how you are able to send out so much love into the world. And you will be a lighting example for so many. But for now, just know that you only need to be a lighting example for yourself. You show yourself the way into your heart, into your soul, knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you can let go of things that are bugging you. And my dear one, you just asked me a question and I see your heart is open, I see your body is relaxed, I see your mind is more quiet. I'm going to give you the answer. And I want you to take a moment now to receive the answer of your inner being. And don't overthink it. It will come in a word, it will come in an image, it will come in the sound of a song, it will come in a feeling, it will come in a knowing. Maybe they give you a symbol. Or maybe it is just silent right now. And that is also okay, because then the answer will come later today, later this week, when you are ready to receive it. Whatever goes on, whatever happens, it's okay. You're doing it exactly right. You cannot do it wrong. You really cannot do it wrong. So whatever the answer is, receive it. And maybe you don't understand what the answer is. Maybe you get a token and you recognize what it is, but you cannot really understand what the answer is. That's also fine. It will come. The quarter will fall. It might be that tomorrow or this week you will be walking on the street and suddenly you recognize the symbol that you got and suddenly the quarter will fall, because your subconscious is working really hard now to give you the messages that you want. So let your fantasy guide you. Whatever pops up, accept it as something from your beautiful self. Fantasy, stories for you to understand who you are and what is important to you. And if it doesn't feel good, throw it in the bin. You are the director, you are the boss of your fantasy, and then politely ask for an answer that feels better. All right. I want you to take a moment to be aware of how you're standing here, rooted in the earth, the beautiful earth supporting you, overviewing your world, your life. You can maybe even see the life of others from this place. If you are already trained in being intuitive, this is a great place to zoom in on others, but just only do that when you can really take good care of yourself and stay into your power without losing yourself in feelings of empathy for others. We will speak about that next week. But can you feel how powerful it is to know that you can always come here, to this place where you know to be loved, to this place where you find relief by letting go, where you find empowerment by feeling rooted, feeling that overview, feeling that sense of control, which is not a control, but a connection with who you really are. And acknowledge for a moment how that feels in your body. Is it your skin that is like there is a pleasant feeling of electricity all over it? Or is it this sense of knowing in your stomach that you just are sure, this gut feeling of being sure? Or maybe you just feel that your heart is lighthearted, that your heart is happy. Maybe you just feel that you're smiling and you cannot stop. Just acknowledge how it feels in your body, how your body responds to this knowing, this empowerment. So that during your day, and you will enter a rush of this feeling, you will recognize it and you will know, hey, this is my connection. This is truth. This is my truth. This is love. This is my love. This is worthiness. My worthiness. And the more you acknowledge this, the more often you will feel it. The more often this rush of acknowledgement for yourself will be there. And then it's only like a snowball which becomes bigger and bigger. And it becomes easier and easier to be gentle to yourself, to radically accept yourself as the most important person to consistently deserve your own gentleness. All right. Now I would love for you to say goodbye to this person within you. And the goodbye is just a gesture because they are within you and you know that. You might want to give them a hug, a kiss, a handshake, or just saying bye, or just give a smile. And let's walk back to the stairs, next to the water, through the garden. Enjoy the environment. You created it. And every time you come back, you can make it even nicer and more beautiful. And now we're going to descend the stairs again. And with every step we take, you feel that you get back into your body in a pleasant way, feeling that groundedness that you brought from this being rooted. 10, 9, 8. A sense of clarity comes with you, the clarity of leaving things that are holding you back behind and bringing this so important knowledge about who you truly are with you. 7, 6, 5. You might wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch your spine. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we are here. We leave the visualization behind us. This beautiful place within you where you can always go. And when you take a look behind you at the stairs, you see a sign and it says, "This is your fantasy world. It's freeing, it's safe, and it's true." And that last part is really important because your fantasy, the fantasy that feels good, it is true. Remember all those people that have created all the things. It started in a place like this, it all started by envisioning, knowing things, and following that inspiration, following that fantasy. So, really, trust your fantasy. It's telling you so many good things. And when it doesn't feel good, you can throw it in the fantasy bin, because then it's not your fantasy speaking, it's not your soul speaking, it's your fear speaking. But if it feels good, embrace it, feed it, let it grow. It's yours and it's here for you, because you are worthy, you are lovable, you are love. Take your time to get out of the meditation, really 1-2 minutes to open your eyes. Don't go too fast. You had your eyes closed for a long time. And when you suddenly open them, it might be that the transition is too harsh. Don't do that. It might give you a headache. We don't want that. Be gentle with yourself. Just take your time.